But now we do want to get into a separate part of what we wanted to talk about, and it's one of our last points here. The Philadelphia 76ers, they have a dilemma. And they've had this dilemma for a few years now with having Ben Simmons as your starting point guard alongside Joel Embiid. I've said it prior so many times that Ben Simmons should get traded to his own team and basically run an offense with shooters around him. It worked once for Philly, and then Joel Embiid came back and it became Embiid's team again. So obviously there's a lack of confidence with Ben Simmons. There's a lot of things that we can say. Some of the numbers here for um, Ben Simmons in these playoffs. I just wanted to mention he had a game. The last three games against Atlanta, he had 8 points, 6 points, and 5 points. You cannot ask your all-star point guard to give you those type of numbers. I mean, if you want to win the game, you can't be doing that. So the
I
question
feel like there
is,
needs to be some context though, right?
no, there's definitely no context. Ben
Well,
Simmons just
bring up
sucked.
bring up who he guarded, bring up Trey's
It
stats.
doesn't. Yeah, who he guarded was great. I mean, look,
I mean, it
he
doesn't
did
matter
so
that
many. He did
Trey
so
shot
many
35%
great
from
things.
the field.
No, no, because you have Ben Simmons playing great defense, doing everything. He did everything else well. I mean, we all know this, but he's
But
your
no, no,
point
we
guard.
don't all know this because I've had conversations with people who think that he is an absolute bum.
No,
Offensively, he is.
if you those people that think that they're idiots, obviously. I mean, they're not looking at the game. The game says it all. He's playing great on ball defense. He's playing great off ball defense. He's rebounding the basketball, finding open shooters. He is the one that gets your shooters open. He
13
makes them
assists,
get open.
13 assists last game. Keep in mind
He
that
does
13
he does a great job and all that, but it's his shooting. And his shooting is affecting the wins, and that's why him and Joel Embiid, they just can't play together. So what are the Philadelphia 76ers going to do with Ben Simmons and Philadelphia? As we can see, Johnny, he does have some technical difficulties. Hopefully, he'll be able to rejoin. If not, thank you, Johnny, for joining the podcast. But Isandro,
I think
let,
Johnny finally decided we couldn't handle the beanie anymore. Maybe he
oh
decided
yeah,
to
it was
stop hating himself.
disgusting. Jeez, he looked like Lego. Okay, but let us know, Isandro. What do you think? What's the problem with Ben Simmons? I mean, all this confidence he had in summer league and in the offseason, but he doesn't have it in the playoffs. What do you think happened with Ben Simmons?
He got in his own head. I mean, we all saw that wide open dunk he passed up because he knew he was going to get fouled and he didn't want to go to the free throw line. He's scared of free throws. To me, both are very important, obviously, but the most important thing that he needs to work on this offseason, first and foremost, is those free throws.
Yep.
Because you've seen dominant in the paint players like LeBron and I mean even to Russell Westbrook, John Murray, other players, right? That they're not scared of going to the hoop because they know they're going to draw fouls, right? And what do you do when
Yeah.
you draw fouls? You shoot shots. But he's scared of doing the only thing he can actually do offensively because he has no jump shot because of the free throws. So now you had a guy who he couldn't shoot, he did everything else, but at least he was good in the paint, which was a problem with Embiid because Embiid kind of lived in the paint. He could stretch the floor a little bit, but that's where he really was, right?
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
could be in the paint. But now he can't be in the paint because he does not want to get fouled. So now he has zero offense at all. You are playing with somebody with, and that's never, well, I don't know if it's never been seen before, but it's something that you rarely ever see in the NBA. Somebody with no offensive, like usually they'll shoot outside, but not inside, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But he had no offensive game whatsoever. And you can see that in the stats with how he performed in the fourth quarter. He took for a couple games combined in the fourth quarter, he shot like 0 times. I don't want to generalize and say that was
Yeah.
for every single game, but for a couple games, it was 0 times. And for the entirety of a game, it would be 2 for 4, maybe 5 shots if we got lucky,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
That to
So
me was Ben Simmons' big problem, the free throws, because it affected the other aspects of his game to the point where he
yeah.
had zero offensive game because of those
Yeah.
free throws.
So now moving on to Jeremy. Jeremy, what do you think Philadelphia should do with Ben Simmons? Obviously, I think the consensus is that he's getting traded. Now, what do you trade him for? Do you try and tell another team like Portland, right, who's in shambles, like give us CJ, we'll give you Ben, or do they just find filler players like solid role players, an above average starter, and other filler players for that team. Like, what would you do if you were Philadelphia 76ers?
If I was a Philly, if I was Philly, I would also, like you said before, just now, filler players. Look for
Okay.
obviously a filler, because the thing is, we can't just talk about negative about Ben Simmons. At the end of the day, he will spread out the game. He will give you what you need. Because look, last past games, I'm looking at stats right now. Last game, 13 assists, 5 assists, 9 assists, 9 assists, 7, 7, 10. So he'll open up the game for you a bit. That's not
Yeah.
bad. But at the end of the game, look at his points: 5, 6, 8, 11, 18, 4 points.
Yeah.
So you need somebody, at least. You're not gonna get a Ben Simmons type, you won't, but you need somebody who could not make up those numbers that you're gonna miss the assist, at least, but you need something. You need something. You can't deal with this. And like Isandro said before, he mentioned, you got to work on that shot. Free throws especially. You cannot be scared. And this is where most of the NBA is already generalized, already got adapted to: drawing fouls, initiating the contact to make free
Yeah.
throws. And this is where most of the point. This is where the James Harden comes in. This is where the Trey Young comes in at the end of the day. This is where you get your points. But if you're not getting your points from there, how the heck are you going to develop your offense?
I mean, you
Yeah.
can't shoot. People pack the paint. Where else are you going to get your points?
Yeah.
People love free throws, and you're running away from them.
So what I kind of want to mention with Ben Simmons, just a disclaimer, he's not a bad player. I mean, Ben
That
Simmons
was
is definitely
Mhm.
a great player. Like,
Who
he's not a
can't
good
shoot.
player.
That is the problem, but we don't want
Yes,
to make it.
he,
Yeah,
he's not a good player. He's a great player. A great player defensively, and offensively, initiating the offense, running the team, really. He is so great. I remember in his rookie season, like the year after his rookie season, actually, technically his second year, whatever, the year after he came back from injury, it was him, Ilyasova, Dario Saric, Marco Bellinelli, and JJ Redick. He was running that, and they went on a streak. Joel Embiid was hurt. They went on a streak, and they were winning games. Every time Joel Embiid is out, I mean, just this season, he dropped like 40 something points when Embiid was out. Ben Simmons can do things. The only issue is they're running so heavily that offense for Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons just looked lost. He looks so lost, and the Philly fans are now turning against him. Philly fans are known for being very brutal to their stars, very brutal to their players, because they don't like losing. That's the
Trust the
Philadelphia
process.
way for them.
Trust the
Exactly.
process.
So with Ben Simmons, they were actually hyping him up whenever he made a three. Like, they were so happy, but now he kind of lost that with the Philly fans, especially with that series against Atlanta. He lost it. So now he has to go to a separate team and run that offense. Where I mentioned it, I think the best team for him is Portland. Um, Portland has Dame. He would get Dame open. Dame would be, oh my God, the pick and roll offense between the two of them would be just outstanding.
Would
But
it be
there's
Dame?
also,
Would it be Dame?
yeah, him and Dame. I wouldn't
You
trade
sure
Dame
about that?
for Ben. I would trade Ben for CJ,
definitely.
like
Because
one
Dame,
thousand
it would just
percent.
cost way
But
too
Dame
much.
doesn't.
Philly
But
doesn't have
Dame
the
even
assets.
considered leaving as well. He's not even sure he wants to be there as well.
If
Nah,
Dame's plan is to stay and to see what happens, and then if they're just incompetent, the front office, then he's going to leave. But first and foremost, he wants to stay because of that loyalty. He's not just going to throw his loyalty out the window. It's Dame.
yeah.
Same
Also,
same situation as Steph.
just want to
You're a
mention that
Warriors fan.
just want to mention Johnny's back. Johnny, what I'm just gonna give you like a quick resume about what we were
Bro,
talking
I think
about.
we're talking about the Jazz, and then I got a text from the Jazz organization, and they told me to stop. And then, bro, next thing you know, I'm getting
Please
bagged
stop.
by Donovan Mitchell and Quinn Snyder. They're punching me, and I'm back. I escaped
Okay,
that.
well,
And
all right.
they left that hat on you. They didn't even like.
Yeah,
Waiting
because
for
they're
waiting for
trying
the
to they're trying to make it seem like they didn't just beat me up now. So
Yes,
Yeah.
but I just want to tell you real quick about what we were talking about. We're talking about Ben Simmons. Jeremy is saying that Ben Simmons should be traded for filler players, for just other players around the league, right? Just trying to get an above average starter and then other role players to play alongside Joel Embiid to like really maximize his potential. And then Isandro, what I asked him was, what's wrong with Ben Simmons, and basically Isandro was saying that his shooting, the free throws, like he's not trying to get free throws, even though his body is big enough to get into the paint and draw so many fouls. He's just not doing it. So I want to ask you, with Ben Simmons, with Doc Rivers, and all this. I mean, Ben Simmons, everybody's saying that he should change his jumper to his right hand. He's ambidextrous, all this stuff. There's so many things that can be said about Ben Simmons, but do you think that this can really affect him for whatever team he ends up going to, in the long run? Or is it just putting him in a position that he can initiate an offense? Like, how do you think this is going to affect him for, basically his career?
Well, I mean, it really just depends on where he goes. Because first of all, the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid fit hasn't fit since the beginning, since they were there. Like they should have traded Ben Simmons 3 years ago. And even though Ben Simmons had a horrible playoffs, but I mean, having Ben Simmons you have Joel Embiid, you have Ben Simmons, who I mean, they're basically playing 4 and 5 when he's on the court because he can't. He all he's trying to do is to initiate the offense, but he can't if players are not respecting his jump shot. For example, like so Ben Simmons, he's getting the ball off a pick and roll. They're just not going to guard him. They're just going to guard the player he's trying to get the ball involved too. The ball too. So it doesn't make any sense. So exactly. So the thing is, really, Ben Simmons. What makes him so special is that he thrives in playmaking in the open court. And obviously,
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I mentioned before too. Yeah,
the lack of spacing of Joel Embiid doesn't really permit that, and so he needs to go in a system where he can really be the focal point of the offense. I really wish he got traded to the Rockets because that's where he could have been. I mean, not only he could have been the focal point of the offense, and they have the spacing, the 3-point shooting, but they have actual talent there. So
you're talking about when James Harden was available, right? Like you thought that the Philadelphia should have pulled the trigger.
They should have. Well,
I don't think
or
that
at
was
least
Philly,
Houston.
actually.
Houston should have pulled the trigger for Ben Simmons.
Because they hated Daryl Morey for leaving and they didn't want anything to do with him, right?
And it was basically a King's ransom. It was basically a King's ransom. It was like Thibault, Ben, Maxey, picks. Like, all right, like because
half the team.
Then that's the core of your future, and then that's a huge defensive piece in Thibault. Like, okay, that was kind of too much.
I know, but the point is that the Harden for Ben Simmons and Ben Simmons should have been a Houston Rocket.
The point is that let's not get carried away here. Like Ben Simmons is the focal point of a James Harden trade. He has potential. The shooting will get there, but the fact that he's taking no shots in the fourth quarter proves that it's really a mental game with him now.
Yep. So
that's why when it comes to a mental thing, you need a whole off season, change the shooting form to the right hand, work on the free throws, and you need to get out of Philadelphia because if you're gonna improve, Philadelphia is not the market because at this point they're just completely impatient with him.
Hey man,
he can't improve.
Look, Ben Simmons. I hate that I'm saying this again, but come to New York. Why not? Play in New York with the New York Knicks. I mean,
you guys have any idea? You guys, I mean, as regards to like Ben Simmons and where you think he should be traded.
Yeah. You said yours. Which one was yours in the chat? I think you said it.
I said Minnesota.
That was the pick.
Add that. You know why that's even more of a huge. They should now. It's because they got no picks. They got no first round picks. That I think they really feel like they should really go after.
Win now mode. Yeah, even though there's not much to win by.
How would Dlo
suicide watch?
You said what?
How would Dlo fit in Philly? I mean, he could shoot.
He could shoot.
If Dlo gets traded again, his career is over. It's a mental game with him too. It won't. I'll feel too bad for him anyway. But
Dlo saved his career in that 2-month span in Brooklyn, and he hasn't been the same since. Injuries, I know, but still.
Yeah. If anything, I would love. I mentioned it before. Ben Simmons in Portland. I think him and Dame would work so well together.
Definitely. Takes pressure off of Dame, playmaking wise, because Dame had to score and.
Yes, that's true. But how does CJ McCollum make the Sixers better?
Because he can shoot.
Oh my God.
Whoa. And what else?
Playmaking. Look, the thing is with CJ McCollum. Can I just say?
He just thinks because he's been playing near Dame, he's not a good playmaker.
So CJ McCollum.
He's never been that.
I'm gonna tell you. CJ McCollum, he actually is a good playmaker. He's not a great playmaker. He's not better than Ben Simmons, obviously, but he is still a good playmaker.
So what are you trading Ben for then? That's my point. What are you trading
For
Ben?
shooting, it's
The
so
shooting.
important. His shooting, CJ
You're
McCollum's
telling
shooting
me-
outweighs everything else that Ben
Bro,
Simmons
you
does.
can
Because
get
we
a
saw,
playmaker that can shoot for Ben Simmons, bro. Bro, you were about to get
but
James Harden.
you're getting
bro.
CJ McCollum. I mean, he's a solid playmaker, and he'll give the ball to Joel Embiid in the post. He'll find Tobias Harris in the corner. CJ McCollum is not a bad playmaker. If you're putting him out to be like he's
Yeah,
just a
son,
scorer.
Wait, Johnny, let me ask you something.
You bugging if
do you
you
think
think I'm trading away Ben Simmons for a 29-year-old Swiss cheese legs.
Well,
CJ
obviously,
McCollum.
there's going to be more
So,
players
wait,
involved.
so this is
obviously.
interesting. I don't have an opinion on this. I just have a question. Johnny, do you feel like CJ and Ben Simmons, that trade, you feel like Portland would easily win that trade and it wouldn't be fair for Philly? Like, you think it's really not even like a fair exchange?
I think Portland wins that trade, and Sixers do not improve from where they were with Ben Simmons.
Really? Because
Wow.
I've heard the opposite. I've heard
Wow, what a
that.
take.
Why would
Wow.
you trade Ben for CJ?
Wait. So if they have, I don't. Yeah, they don't. They're not. They're still not making over the hump of CJ McCollum, in my opinion. Like unless there's other players of that trade, but not because what Ben gives you defensively, bro, you're not getting back. Like,
But you don't need that though, because you have other defenders on the wing. You don't need that defense right now. What you
As
need
long
is
as they keep
offense.
Thibault, but Thibault might be included in the trade.
I highly doubt it. Thibault's staying on the team.
I don't think so.
Look,
I think
you,
Ben's
you've
not
got
offensive player.
you've got a starting lineup of CJ McCollum, or not even. You could start Tyrese Maxey, CJ McCollum, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. You're telling me that's not a championship contender?
Who's the
And he let
playmaker?
Steph Curry out too.
You got Tyrese and you got CJ McCollum handling the ball.
Bro,
CJ
bro, bro,
McCollum
bro.
is a
Hey,
good
yo,
playmaker.
Hey, so you come in the season expecting that you're going to be a championship contender with Tyrese Maxey, CJ McCollum, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. Bro, you crazy.
Absolutely.
You're crazy. Bro, you're crazy, dog. ISO ball CJ McCollum, bro. What is he going to do? He's not going to lead you to a championship.
I'm not saying he's going to lead you to a championship. I'm saying that he's a better fit for that team than Ben Simmons is.
But that doesn't
Yeah,
make them necessarily a title contender.
I know, but I'm not trading Ben Simmons for a person that's not going to exponentially change our team, if that makes sense.
But
Like,
he is going to change the team.
he's going to change the team, but what are they going to be? Like, what is their ceiling will probably be like Eastern Conference Finals, probably.
Well, look, Johnny, you bring up a good point, but
Hey,
the
bro.
thing is, what options do they have?
You don't have
Because
much on
his
the table. You don't have
value
much on the
has
table.
dropped. His value has dropped. That's a fact.
Okay, but
So everybody watched these playoffs, bro. Everybody knows Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
is a
because
liability on
because if Ben Simmons was doing well, I guarantee you the teams involved would be Ben Simmons for
Simmons
Bradley Beal, something like
was
that.
playing
Then
well,
I would love that. But
you throw in
No.
other players, obviously, but there might even be conversations about him going for Damian Lillard, and you trade a crap ton of other pieces, obviously.
No. Okay, so I'm thinking, CJ McCollum is good. I mean, if you can get CJ McCollum, but I'm just saying, if you're going to get CJ McCollum, you have to make sure there's a plan in place where you can get another playmaker somewhere else, maybe in a 3-team deal.
Well, obviously you can sign a free agent that's a playmaker. Like these are things that can be filled, but CJ McCollum is not a bad playmaker. Like he's not. The fact that you think that, it's
He's
kind of
not-
scaring
he's
me because
He's not the playmaker the Sixers would need to take them to the next
The
level.
thing is, Johnny, you're forgetting the only reason we've seen Dame and CJ is because they drafted Dame and CJ together, but they're both kind of point guardy. But CJ has played shooting guard out of necessity because they had Dame and they wanted to make it work. But he is better handling the ball as a point guard.
Yeah, because Doc Rivers is gonna change CJ.
you're right. Of
Really,
course,
Doc Rivers. I mean, I'm not
it's-
saying he's a Hall of Fame coach, which
Hey,
he
yo,
did,
dog,
but
the plays that
he has
the
Tobias
plays
Harris had a
that
career
Doc
season.
Rivers was running for Ben Simmons was just like flat out idiotic, bro.
But
Like,
no, but those are the only plays you can run for Ben Simmons because all you can do is stay inside.
I know, but I hate Doc Rivers, bro. He's-
I know, but it's a. I think that would be a great trade. I like the
think-
Minnesota
think-
thing too.
yeah.
A lot of people agree with you, Jay, not just me. Like I've
I
seen
mean,
it all over.
I said it before Stephen A. Smith said it. I just
Yeah.
want to point that out there.
I agree with you.
No, I'm
Actually,
saying
I said
CJ
before
McCollum
you.
is good.
Okay.
But I'm saying that.
I did. Look at
But
the
I'm saying
receipts.
if you could trade Ben Simmons for Kyle Lowry, that would make the
No,
Sixers way
Kyle
better.
Lowry is a free agent, so
free
he's not
agent.
going to do a sign and trade. He can leave when he wants. It's not a restricted free agency where he can do a sign and trade. He doesn't have to do a sign and trade.
Well,
So-
I mean, if they want to get Ben, if Toronto wants to get Ben, And
If they
maybe
do, then I mean, yeah. But why would you have Ben Simmons and Pascal Siakam playing the same position? Just
no, I
doesn't
mean
work.
Ben Simmons would
Doesn't
probably
work.
be the point guard.
But Ben Simmons and Fred VanVleet would be pretty decent. It's just
That'd
because
be
of
I mean, they got the
Pascal.
4th pick, so you I mean, you could
That
tell.
would be
But
nice.
maybe, but we got to wrap it up here now, guys. We talked a lot about a lot of different topics, but let us know, please, down in the comment section what you guys think. Whether it be the Ben Simmons topic, whether it could be, the conference finals topics. And we also want to know where you guys think Ben Simmons should go. Definitely gonna post it on Instagram, asking people.
Portland.
So we'll see exactly what we talk about for the next time, possibly for the championship. We'll talk, and then we also have to do a mock draft and a coaching podcast because there's a lot of things going on around the NBA, guys. But please like, subscribe, and hit that like button down below.
Coming home.
Shout us out. Shout us out.
Shout out,
and
shout
go
out,
ahead.
Bum Simmons, bro. Ben Simmons needs to go to Siberia for a year to learn how to
He ain't
play
a
basketball.
bum. He ain't a bum. That's still my guy. But thank you guys for joining, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.